Hello and welcome to a new FPL season. 2021-2022 is now live, and this is the first draft that I've come up with. I've been thinking about the players since the prices have started to reveal over the last few days. So before I get into the players I have chosen, let's talk about some big misses that I'm sure you guys are going to say. Remember, this is the first draft. We're all going to tinker until that very first game week deadline. But I'm going to start off by saying the first two big things I'm sure you're seeing that I'm missing is, first of all, no Manchester City. That's right. At the moment, I've not found the space for Manchester City. Now, people have been talking about the prices for this year, saying that they feel that a lot of them are low, or maybe we used to have a sort of sweet 9 to 11 million bracket where you could get one or two 12 million players, and then a 10-ish to 11 million-ish player, and then a few cheap ones. What it feels like is those mid-price players have been pushed down, but then the higher mid-premiums have been pushed higher up. I actually agree with this. I like this move because it makes you feel like you have a decision. If you let a lot of the players in the middle sort of go down to have more of a selection with the budget players, then you have more of a choice. You'll get less of a template, because it felt like last season we had, say, 5 players in the budget area, 5 in the mids, and a couple in the premiums, and we all just sort of chose the same ones. But if you sort of cut it and have a lot of cheap players, say now we've got 50 cheap players to choose from, that's going to make people have to make those decisions. Whereas now, because those higher priced mid premiums, like your Son's going up, your Kevin De Bruyne's even going up by 0.5 million, those kind of players sort of going up as well. Bruno is a key example, going up into that 12 million category now, that we can only really have 2 premiums. Last year it was like 3 premiums, good budget players, pretty template. So I like that decision. So why I've not got Manchester City? Rotation. I don't want to start the season. I know Kevin De Bruyne is going to be fantastic, but it's the Euros now. Maybe some players are going to need a little bit of an extended rest. We know Kevin De Bruyne had a good season the year before last season, started to get some more injuries again. I know the likes of Diaz is probably nailed on, but 6 million now for that defender when there's some really good price defenders out there. I'm not too sure about the likes of Cancelo getting rotated out. Is Stones going to be nailed? Obviously, as well, it's summer, so we don't know who's going in. So, for example, if Harry Kane goes to Manchester City, there is a big chance that he's going to be playing up front for me at the start of the FPL season, because I don't see him going to Man City to get rotated out. I'm pretty sure he would be nailed. I know I'm putting it out there, but we'll have to just wait and see. But as for the rest of the team, the likes of Mahrez as well, or Foden, far too many rotation risks and pep roulette to start the season with, and I just don't want it. The second big omission I think you guys will notice is no Trent, no Robbo. I actually started last season with both of them. I started with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I started with Robertson as well, but it obviously didn't work out. I'm still not too sure if Liverpool is going to get over defensively such a terrible season that they had last year. I know Robertson was pretty solid. I know Trent had a fantastic end to the season, but now we've got a summer break. I just don't know if I want to invest 7.5 million when, again, those mid-range players have been pushed down to sort of a cheaper area. Now it's starting to question, do I want a 7.5 million Trent, or do I want a 7 million Madison or an 8 million Grealish that I've got right now? So they are the two biggest misses that I don't have at the moment. No Manchester City, no Trent or Robbo at the back. Of course it could change, but who knows what's going to happen in the summer transfer window? We're just going to have to wait and see. But as it stands, no City and no Liverpool defenders. Again, I keep saying it is a first draft. I have thought about it. I wanted to start the season with tried and tested players, ones that started strongly, have a good summer's sort of rest, a bit of a vacation to regenerate. But at the minute, yeah, no Liverpool defenders and no Man City, because I just felt like I want to start with players who had good form for most of the season, not really bits and pieces. I know Madison's in there, it's a little bit shaky, but also we'll talk about the fixtures of why I've got these. So Sanchez and Guaita, 2 4.5 million rotating goalkeepers. Now, I usually do worry about Crystal Palace. A lot of their players are left on expired contracts because they had an aging squad. They still don't have a manager, I know, but Guaita, 4.5 million save points, I think is a really good price. And to rotate with Sanchez, now I thought Ryan had gone to Arsenal forever. He only went on loan. So Matt Ryan is actually back at Brighton now, but I do think that Sanchez is the number one there. You don't loan out your goalkeeper that is your first choice, right? And Brighton start the season with Burnley, Watford, Everton and Brentford in the first few. So I do think that is a decent one to start with. And going into, so that's how I'm starting. So Sanchez and Guaita are the goalkeepers. You can see on the bench, I've got Fofana and I've got Cody. Fofana for 4.5 million is not a tongue twister, but I think that is such amazing value. 4.5 million for a team that not only fights for Champions League, but Leicester in the last 2 seasons have wonderful starts to the seasons, right? Because it's usually their end of the season where they just, I don't want to say bottle it, but they were in a strong position. They did give up Champions League football to an extent, but for 4.5 million for the starting centre half for a top 5 team, top 6 team, I think is absolute value. And Cody's in there because, you know, he plays almost every minute of the Wolves games. And I know as well, Wolves, new manager, I don't think they're going to walk in and take out the club captain who's been the rock of the defence for Wolves for the last few years. So it's just having a 90-minute man, hopefully. It could change. Again, it is early in the summer, but having a 90-minute man sat on your bench at the start of the season, I think is a wise choice. And then I've got Davis at 4.5 million at Aston Villa. Bench fodder, but also last season he did get some minutes, so he could get some more, but third bench, hopefully you don't go 3 deep, right? Going back onto my starting lineup, you can see Luke Shaw, 5.5 million. So Manchester United started against Leeds, which of course is a very tough fixture. Then they've got Southampton, Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa. So they have a nice start to the season. Shaw had a pretty solid season at Manchester United, who finished second. So again, 5.5 million for the wing back at United, I don't think is bad. Speaking of wing backs, Luca Dean, 5.5 million. I can't remember the last time he was under 6, but now, here's a key thing. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a shot on target the whole of the season, or was it just one? It was a crazy start like that. But Everton, I believe, are top of the fixture ticker, which means they have the easiest start to the season. Southampton, Leeds, Brighton, Burnley, Villa, Norwich in their opening game. So I'm not even necessarily looking at Luca Dean as an attacker in that fixture run, but we know he's a quality player. We know he's on set pieces. We know he can pull through. Everton have the, on paper, easiest start to the season. I think for 5.5 million, that's a great price. And speaking of great prices, Kufal, 5 million. I thought he'd have gone up to 5.5 for West Ham. European football on the way there for West Ham. And an okay start to the Open against Newcastle, so I think that's a solid start to the season. And then you got Leicester, Palace, Southampton, United and Leeds. Not too easy, but, I back West Ham. They did fantastic. I think David Moyes should have got manager of the season. And West Ham, I think, are only going to improve, give them more time, maybe a couple of transfers in, but Kufal as a right wing back or right back, I think, is solid as well. Of course, a tactic is usually going to be to get the wing backs or full backs rather than the centre backs, so that's my starting 3 at the back. Moving on to the midfield, Rafinha, 6.5 million. I think that is an absolute steal. Now, Bamford, don't get me wrong, had a wonderful season last season, and now he's worth 8 million. I can't really argue with that, with the goals that he scored and the points that he got. But if Rafinha played as many minutes, or, I just feel for 6.5 million, he is an absolute value. I know he starts the season against Manchester United, but the way that Leeds play, you never know. I always say in my weekly streams that you never know what's going to happen with Leeds. They can go out and win 6-0. They can go out and lose 6-0. They can go out and draw 0-0. They can go out and draw 5-5. They're so difficult to predict. But everything runs through this man. And I think for 6.5 million, it is a fantastic option for a playmaker. Speaking of playmakers, Madison at 7 million. Now, this one is a little bit of a question mark for me. Injuries really hampered Madison last season, but he is usually on some set pieces. He is creative. He is key and important to Leicester City. It's just can he stay fit? But for 7 million for such an important player in that Leicester side, the creative outlet, I just think 7 million as well is a fantastic price. Going a little bit more expensive now, 8 million. Another player, talked about Bamford going up to 8 million. Rafinha staying at 6.5, but Grealish still, for me, has been the best English player over the last 12 months. And we all saw that when Grealish missed all those games for Aston Villa, who were fighting for European football at the time, as soon as he got injured, half the team. And I'm not trying to disrespect Aston Villa. I'm trying to just show and say how important Jack Grealish is to that side and any side. And with question marks over his future, Man City apparently sniffing around. Top clubs are going to be after him. So if he does go to a top club, hopefully it's not Manchester City, because that's just going to be a rotation nightmare. But I do think he's such a talented player that. And if he stays at Aston Villa, he's got Bruyne. Now, when I talked about not having the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, if I need to pull 2 million out of somewhere to make sure go up to Trent, I can, because Grealish to Bruyne, the new signing from Norwich at Aston Villa, I think is a great option. But with Young going to Villa and Bruyne going to Villa, I just think that's going to make Grealish even more of an attractive option for 8 million. And then we go up front. The man I started last season with, who went on an absolute hot streak, who really stopped me from dipping below 4.5 million overall ranking in the first sort of 10 weeks, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I talked about Everton when I said about Luca Dean, Southampton, Leeds, Brighton, Burnley, Villa, Norwich. They are games where he can score. He's off at the Euros now. He's obviously not getting any minutes, but that's surely going to still boost his confidence. Everton's still waiting on a new manager. We're not too sure who's going to go in there, but I would, again, be really surprised if Calvert-Lewin loses his place. We'll have to wait and see for the friendly matches. We'll have to wait and see what manager they get in there. But for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 8 million, good price, great fixtures. We'll just see how he does in the friendlies. And then we've got Michail Antonio. He's got a summer off. Let's hope that he can sort out his hamstrings, make sure he's refreshed and his body is strong and fit and he's waiting to go and raring to go, I should say. But again, this depends on transfers. We've not heard a lot from West Ham. We know that they sold Sebastian Haller and they don't really have any striker backup, because when Antonio's injured, maybe Bowen is playing as the striker. And I would be really surprised if West Ham don't go out there and get a top quality striker. I mean, surely they can attract someone. They've got a lovely stadium. They've got European football. I think defensively they're pretty solid. Midfield's looking pretty solid. There's no depth up front, but I'm not going to worry about that. I did actually have Raul Jimenez as my placeholder for 7.5 million striker. I love the Mexican marksman. I'm so happy that he's back. But we're going to have to wait for those friendly games, because obviously he's been out for a long time. We're making sure his skull and his head's okay. Not just physically, but mentally. Having that kind of injury and having to wear that head brace that he's going to have to always wear now, is that going to affect his game? He was usually an amazing header of the ball. He was an aerial threat at all times. I don't know if I want to start the season with a player who's been out for a long time with such a terrible injury as that. But there are options out there. The reason why as well I didn't go for Raul is West Ham's fixtures. They've got Newcastle, Leicester, Palace, Southampton, United and Leeds. Not too bad. Antonio is key, and he has the summer to get a rest and hopefully get that body fit and strong. So that's it for the first draft video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. There should be some more Euro content coming up very shortly when we get into the knockouts. I'll do a video and maybe it'll be over there by the time you're watching this. I'm doing pretty well in that. I'm about 4,000 overall in the world, #1 in Taiwan, which is lovely to see. So if there's any Euro content and you're interested in that kind of fantasy football, then have a look at my other videos on the channel, and also maybe just click subscribe down there. That would be fantastic. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck, and let me know your drafts in the comments below. And as always, have a good one.